Takambonzwa kuti vaMwazha vakamboprofita pamusoro pekufa pavo, but one of the biggest prophecy yakamboitwa naVaMwazha inyaya the nuclear war that was supposed to happen between Russia and America. And izvi ndazviziva sei? Pane imwe fani yangu inonzi kupa kwashe muchemwa ndo yakandibata yakati Hasta, I made a video about this prophecy yakaitwa neMutumwa Mwazha. Saka guys, I need you to watch this video till the end to get a better understanding of the story. Kuti munyaso kunzwa kuti chakanyasa kuitika. And don't worry, kune vaya vaicomplain kuti we want your videos to be in English. This video is gonna be in English. Saka munyaso kuona video rinono, munyaso terera zvinhu zvese zvataura. Saka without wasting your time, chiona I video.
Nuclear war is a global catastrophe that brings inevitable apocalypse to the whole planet. Research shows that the world came close to nuclear war in 1980s between Russia and America than what historians and officials thought. This Cold War arms race and nuclear war mindset was stopped by God's intervention, easing Russia-America tension unexpectedly. It was revealed to Ernest Paul Mamvura, 106, from Zimbabwe, Africa, on 22 June 1984, and it came to pass. He teaches love. As we begin, please note that this expose is in 3 phases. Number 1, the global impact of nuclear war between Russia and America. Number 2, God's intervention vision to Paul Mamvura. Number 3, post-vision analysis. The global impact of nuclear war between Russia and America. Nuclear war can lead to human extinction. That is why no one can win a nuclear war.
You cannot win a nuclear war!
More than 300 million people will perish in the first few hours, and more than 5 billion people within 2 years.
If the United States and Russia, NATO and Russia stumble into a nuclear war, something like 200 to 400 million people will die in the first afternoon. The fires caused by these nuclear weapons will cause a catastrophic disruption of climate worldwide that will lead to a famine, which will kill 5 to 6 billion people in the first 2 years. And the famine will continue beyond that.
It will cause nuclear winter that will last for 10 years without agriculture, food production, killing billions of people.
Major cities are targeted, both because they contain military facilities and to stymie the enemy's post-war recovery. Some cruise missiles take hours to reach their target. Each impact creates a fireball about as hot as the core of the sun, followed by a radioactive mushroom cloud. These intense explosions vaporize people nearby and cause fires and blindness further away. The fireball expansion then causes a blast wave that damages buildings, crushing nearby ones. The United Kingdom and France have nuclear capabilities and are obliged by NATO's Article 5 to defend the US. So Russia hits them too. Firestorms engulf many cities, where storm-level winds fan the flames, igniting anything that can burn, melting glass and some metals, and turning asphalt into flammable hot liquid. But the explosions, the electromagnetic pulse, and the radioactivity aren't the worst part. Nuclear winter is, caused by the black carbon smoke from the nuclear firestorms. And a firestorm sends plumes of black smoke up into the stratosphere, far above any rain clouds that would otherwise wash out the smoke.
To think that with a world population of 8 billion people, nuclear winter that will last for 10 years will kill more than 5 billion people in the first 2 years is disgusting.
This black smoke gets heated by sunlight, lofting it like a hot air balloon for up to a decade. High-altitude jet streams are so fast that it takes only a few days for the smoke to spread across much of the northern hemisphere. In the meantime, Earth gets freezing cold, even during the summer, with farmland in Kansas cooling by about 20 degrees centigrade or 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and other regions cooling almost twice as much. A recent scientific paper estimates that over 5 billion people could starve to death, including around 99% of those in the United States, Europe, Russia, and China.
Indeed, it's a global upheaval that can wipe away humanity. God's intervention vision to Paul Mwazha. In a vision, on 22 June 1984, at the height of Cold War, Paul Mwazha saw two hawks fighting, one from the east, Russia, and the other from the west, America. They were of equal strength. Their fight made the earth to quake. He shouted in short, "Kwete, kwete, kwete." They immediately transformed into human beings, but only from head to waist. He shouted again, "Kwete, kwete, kwete." They both flew towards him and sat with him on a rock on either side. He touched their claws, and they became complete white human beings. The sun rose like a red fireball from the eastern horizon, and he shouted, "Ndi Jehovah."
We cannot afford to let confusion complicate things further. We must be clear with each other and direct. We must pay each other the tribute of candor. We must not now abandon policies that work.
Post-vision analysis. Prior to this dire 22 June 1984 vision to Paul Mwazha, U.S.-Soviet relations were very tense. To confirm this, in the previous month of May, the Soviet Union boycotted the 1984 Summer Olympic Games in USA, Los Angeles.
Good evening. The Soviet Union will not be taking part in the 1984 Olympic Games to be held in Los Angeles, and it's expected that most of the Eastern Bloc will follow suit. The announcement, which came from Moscow late this afternoon, blamed the commercialization of the Games and the lack of security measures, violations in the eyes of the Russians of the Olympic Charter. The Soviet Union accuses the United States of using the Games for political purposes.
So Moscow had given Washington no warning that this was about to happen. The State Department called it a blatant political action.
Just after this vision, diplomats began to work towards easing this tension with a global life threat. In less than a month, on 17 July 1984, there was a US-Soviet diplomatic initiation note in Washington to make technical improvements to a neglected 21-year-old communication link or hotline between Washington and Moscow.
The Washington-Moscow Hotline, a safeguard against hotheads in the Cold War, is installed in the Pentagon. Simultaneously, the other end of the teletyping circuit is being hooked up in the Kremlin. This direct communication between the Soviet and American governments is designed to curtail misunderstanding and miscalculation that might touch off a nuclear war. Originally, it was popularly conceived as a telephone line, but the printing makes for more clarity and puts the conversation on the record.
This was just the beginning. Meetings, agreements, negotiations, and treaties towards avoiding nuclear war. On 28 September 1984, U.S. President Reagan and Soviet Union Foreign Minister Gromyko met at the White House to discuss arms control issues. In 1985, they met in Geneva, and in a joint US-Soviet statement, they announced a signed agreement for early progress on reduction of strategic offensive nuclear weapons.
Members of the Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Thank you very much.
I need your continued support to keep America strong. That is the history behind the Geneva Summit, and that is the context in which it occurred. And may I add that we were especially eager that our meetings give a push to important talks already underway on reducing nuclear weapons. On this subject, it would be foolish not to go the extra mile, or in this case, the extra 4,000 miles. We discussed the great issues of our time. I made clear before the first meeting that
It was indeed a global life-keeping journey, influenced by God Himself. On 8 December 1987, U.S. President Reagan and Soviet Union General Secretary Gorbachev signed a treaty of elimination of intermediate-range and shorter-range missiles in Washington.
Welcome to the White House. This ceremony and the treaty we're signing today are both excellent examples of the rewards of patience. For the first time in history, the language of arms control was replaced by arms reduction. In this case, the complete elimination of an entire class of U.S. and Soviet nuclear missiles.
Nuclear warheads stockpiled in Russia and America was then recorded. It is one thing to foresee future events, even at world scale, but it is another to see, intervene, and redirect the course of an event that could have annihilated our planet Earth.
In the 1980s, when President Gorbachev reached out to the United States and proposed that we end the Cold War arms race, I suspect he had little expectation that the United States would respond favorably. The United States was talking at that point in very bellicose terms about being able to fight and win a nuclear war in Europe. We, the United States, had just deployed Pershing missiles in Germany explicitly to be able to fight such a war. And yet, when Gorbachev reached out to Reagan, they were both able to see the urgent need to get rid of these weapons.
It can only be God who gives life and power to his people, who saved us from this global upheaval.
Amen.
Glory be to God.